Anjiva Korja. Hello, everybody. Eimear Burke here. Welcome to another Fireside Chat. And this is Fireside Chat 156. And as is customary, I start with a prayer for peace. Gomara Shiakon ar fud na crinne. Gomara Shiakon in our jaili agus in our jirha. Gonairi lin len ar cuid garmacha. Gamwich buikas jiv, je chivdaka is spirit chivdaka. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten into ploughshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the Holy Mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So, great to be back since July. So lovely to have you all back here. And coming into the autumn equinox, I find September difficult. I always find the transition from the summer into the autumn hard. I always say, I go into September kicking and screaming, but once I pass the equinox, I'm happy, and then I'm well ready to engage with the dark half of the year, because I do like the dark and I do like the winter. It's always the transition from summer to autumn I find hard. So let me see where you're all from. Hi, Liz from Wyoming. Chilly London. Actually, Fireide, it's chilly here too, though we're hoping to have a bit of warmer weather next week. Scotland, Tintagel, hi Sandy, lovely. Ballina, Killaloo, Southern California. Hearing awful things about the fire still there, which is such a pity. So sad to hear about it all. Hello from Ulster, hi Pat, all from Scotland. Calgary in Canada. Wonderful. So it's great to see you all and to be back. Where we just see more people. Great. Chicago, wonderful. Blessings and peace from California. I hope you're okay where you are, Kathleen. New Brunswick. Bucharest, wonderful. A wet high river, hi Jane. Edinburgh, wonderful. So Nimi's been burying treasure, planting bulbs for the spring. That's wonderful. So, and the Isle of Wight, lovely. Hampshire, great to see you all. Well, we're going down under, and my guest today is in the Gold Coast hinterland of Australia, and it's 5 a.m. And she has very kindly agreed to get up extra early to join me for this chat. So I'd like to introduce Jenna Robertson. Jenna, you're so welcome, and I'm so impressed with you getting up so early this morning. Of course, it's summertime. No, it's winter where you are. How cold is it?
It's starting to warm up, actually. We're heading into spring. Thanks for having me, Eimear.
So tell us a little bit about where you are.
Well, I am on the east coast of Australia. You'll hear that I've got a Scottish accent. I'm a Scottish woman living here as a migrant, and I live on Wandjeri country. It's it looks like I'm losing you, Eimear, or is it my internet?
I can hear you. So my internet's good.
I'll keep going just in case. And
keep talking.
I'm living. It's on a mountain, 500 meters elevation, behind the Gold Coast, which is near Brisbane.
Okay, so yes, people. Okay, so Julia says that it's good here, just a little time delay. Thank you, Julia. So what brings you, a Scottish woman, to to Australia?
You're back?
Yes, I'm here all the time. Everybody can hear you. I can hear both of us. So can you hear me?
I can, yeah. I stopped seeing you for a moment there, so I was wondering if
Okay,
you had
just
trouble.
assume I can see you and everybody else can see it, but you just, so what brings you from Scotland to Australia?
Gosh, well, I've been here for 16 years. Um, and originally I got a job here. And so I moved. Before I was here, I was living and working in Russia. And I moved to Perth, Australia, originally, which is on the West Coast, 16 years ago, for a job. And that seems like quite a long time ago now, even, in some contexts, it's maybe not, but it feels like a while ago.
And are you settled there?
That's a really interesting question. What does it mean to be settled? I well, it's been my home for a long time. I'm actually coming to the end of my chapter here, Eimear. I'll be moving back to Europe next year, to the south of Spain.
Hmm.
My husband's a native Spanish speaker. He's from Argentina, and we've been wanting to move to Europe for some time. I'd love to be a lot closer to my family because I've been away from them for 16 years. But that brings with it to the end of the chapter. I've really, really loved my time here in Australia, and it's changed who I am completely. I love the land here. So it comes with all the emotions of an ending and a beginning.
And it strikes me, you're a Druid, and we'll get to how you found Obod and how you found Druidry. And I suppose you started your Druid path
I can't see
while
you or
in the
hear
sun.
you anymore.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me. Okay. Uh, can people hear me? Just if people can put in the chat, because I know my internet is good. So I think it might be yours. I'm not sure. Can you hear me at all?
I've just got you back. I've just got you back, Eimear.
Okay. I think it might be at your end. People can hear me. People can hear both of us. So I think it's your end. So yeah, so everybody can hear what I can hear, and I can hear you and see you, but you can't. So I think it might be your end, unfortunately. Um,
Oh,
so unless you go out again and come back in, maybe you go out and come back in and see if that might help.
okay. Sorry about this. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I could do. I will pop out.
I'll just come back in.
Okay. Thanks, Eimear.
Okay, so we'll just wait a few moments until Jenna comes back in. Apologies for that, but then this is technology, and she is the other side of the world. So yeah, so okay, so great. It's great to be back here after it seems what, about 6 weeks, a long time. So it's great to see you all again and to have you here. Yes, and she's coming in again. Okay, here is Jenna. Let's hope. Because when we did the test earlier, everything was fine. So anyway, uh, she's finding it difficult to get in, I think. Yeah. So Pat asked me, have I been having any adventures while I've been away? Well, I was at the Mount Thunder gathering in Druid camp in August in Germany. That was wonderful. And then Cape Clear Storytelling Festival at the end of August. And then quick turnaround, and we were at the Eurotas Transpersonal Psychology Conference in Oxford, and there were a number of bodies there. Oh, she's gone again. So a number of we have a mental health interest group within the order, and there were a number of members of that who came to Oxford, and a number of them presented papers. And it was absolutely wonderful. And I stayed in New College, and I was in an old, well, it's a 60s building, not a particularly nice building compared to the others, but I had a beautiful view of the city wall of Oxford. And in the morning, I'd go through the wall in an archway and through a garden to the refectory, which was absolutely beautiful. And we spent 5 days there walking around Oxford, actually attending papers as well. So it was wonderful. And I went to the Bodleian Library, which was just beautiful, and went into Divinity College. And that was where Harry Potter was filmed. Well, for the infirmary that was filmed in that room. So just beautiful, absolutely. So I'm having a rest now. Just beautiful. Oh God, 3 druids go walk into a bar, Sean. Okay, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what where Jenna is. Yeah. Okay. Ferdy, it says it's magic, amazing magic that we can talk to somebody far away. Yes, when it works, it's lovely. Oh, here she is again. Let's hope. You're back.
Hello? Hello? Is it
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Now there's an echo. Can you put in a headset, because I can hear an echo?
An echo?
Okay, there's no echo now. It's gone. Okay. Can you bring your microphone up higher so I can hear you?
How's that? Can you hear me now?
You're still very low. Can you up the volume on it?
I can try a different audio source. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it's still very soft. Can people hear Jenna?
Hello, testing. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, it's still it's soft, but anyway, we'll have to get on with it. People can hear softly, but yes. So, yes. So I suppose where we were was talking about your starting your Druidry in the Southern Hemisphere, and I imagine that's a challenge for lots of people who start there. And what it's going to be like moving. Of course, we met in Donegal in June at the Beirut retreat. And what was that like, making that change from one hemisphere to the other?
Oh, Eimear, it's strange, to be honest. It's almost like my body never fully feels actually like it's here. There's still some kind of connection back to the Northern Hemisphere where I'm from, where all my ancestors are from. It's a funny feeling. It's hard to describe. And it's even like I went from winter to summer and back to winter, but there was some continuity within it as well in the sensations and feeling in my body and my mind. It's hard to put words on, but I think the thing that I do know is that when I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, and certainly in around Scotland, my body feels very at home. It's a tangible feeling in my body. And I guess the other side of that would be then that here in Australia, I've begun to be more aware of the opposite of that, the feeling of just being slightly less alive is actually the way I would articulate it. My body has got slightly less energy that flows through it. That's been my personal experience. But I think there's always that connection back to the seasons of the Northern Hemisphere in my body.
Mm-hmm. Sean McCann, who's in Canada, says the body has memory like the mind has memory, like the spirit has memory. And I think I can understand that. And in a sense, when you go back to Scotland, you become rooted again.
That's what it felt like. It was really powerful, but I only felt it really this time. I've been back many times over the last 16 years, but since my journey with expansion of my consciousness and spiritual connection and deeper connection to place, my senses have just been more awake to that. It's really only been this last trip that I had back that I've been able to sense that so powerfully.
And then now that you've made a decision to move back, it's all, in perfect alignment in the sense that it's happening at the same time that you've decided to come back to the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. The time
So
with you was really special in Donegal. It was really
what was so
beautiful.
special about it for
Well,
you?
it was my first time actually in a group of Druids.
Ah,
The first time. So that was special for me because before that it had been a solo investigation and learning and experiencing into Druidry. So it was my first time to be in a group and experience it in a group setting and be kind of immersed in it. I loved that there was no kind of explaining or questions about how experienced people are or what they know. It was just not. You're in. You're here. Let's just do the thing. And that experience for me was really beautiful. And I had a lot of fun. There was a beautiful a lot of laughter and fun in the group as well. But I think at the heart of it was the particular group of people and the landscape. The the core that I felt within everyone who was there was a deep acceptance of everyone else exactly as they are,
mm-hmm.
which I think is rare in the world. Um, and to be feeling that in a group for me was quite healing. And of course, the landscape of Donegal is just absolutely breathtaking, and was really beautiful to be there and just sort of breathe in my first experiences of that land.
It is a magical landscape, and it's interesting. Although everybody was a Druid there, bar one, it wasn't. It's open to the retreat is open to anybody, which is really
Yeah,
really interesting. So, I mean, I love the landscape absolutely, and we're going to run it again next year. Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, okay, so I'm going to get back to um, what brought you to Australia, your work, because I know you do many different things. So just give us a flavor of what you're like.
what I'm like is probably someone who changes a lot, and that because I'm always learning. I love learning, and I'm quite interested in healing and finding kind of my true self all the time. So there's what that looks like on the outside is I change jobs a lot. And to some people on the outside, that maybe doesn't make sense. But over the last 20 years or so, I started out working as a chemical engineer. I've always loved science. And I think at some point I heard someone say, I think it was maybe my physics teacher, that girls don't really do engineering. And as a teenager, I think I felt very compelled by that, and that took me on quite a journey. And I worked as a chemical engineer around the world for 10 years or so, while I was also singing. I'm I'm a singer, and
Indeed, you are. We'll have a song
Um,
later. Anyway, yeah.
of course, of course. Uh, and and the whole time I was working as an engineer, that sort of musician inside me, the singer inside me, was getting stronger and stronger. I was doing a lot of singing outside work. At that time, I was working very much in opera. I'm a soprano. And so then, after 10 years as an engineer, I let that go and moved into the arts full time, working as an opera singer. And also because I had that experience as an engineer, I was also leading projects. That transferred into the arts with me, and I ended up so running an opera company and becoming a producer of fairly large scale projects. I loved working with communities and using music to bring people together. And then at a certain point in time, the opera surroundings, the ecology of the opera industry became quite limiting for me. The singers are fairly constrained in that environment in terms of how much creativity we can express. We're sort of in charge of the larynx, but we're not involved in things like the writing, generally, directing. And there was a storyteller within me that really wanted to come out some more. So since 2019, I've worked also as a writer and director of new shows and creating my own new performance works and films as well. So that's been my work in the arts, which I'm still doing. And and over time, as I became familiar with the process of change and transformation, people started to come to me for support. And over time, that's developed into a coaching practice
Okay.
where I support people with their own transformations, and that's kind of united with my love of the earth and nature as a regenerative leadership coach. So that's really helping people to bring their ways of being and knowing into alignment with the laws of nature. You still with me? Because there
I
was a lot of
am.
changes.
And Jules says, "Oh, that's wonderful because music lives in the soul and it must be expressed. So grand to hear of someone who succeeds with their talent." Gabriella says, "This is like the story of the guy who switched from Navy SEAL to doctor and then astronaut." Ooh. But it's I'm always intrigued. I remember Howard, my late husband, and I doing a presentation at our psychology conference around the art and science of psychology and bringing the two together. Um, you didn't bring them together, but you had two parts of your life. Did you find that they were split, like they were compartmentalized when you were doing the chemical engineering?
Yes, obviously in this world, people often associate them with completely different languages. And I think what's happened with me is I understand the commonality between the two. And and in a way that art and science are almost like two expressions of the same universal truth.
Indeed.
That's what I see. But I did have the opportunity to bring them together in some creative projects with planetariums,
Ah,
which was amazing. I love my work with planetariums, where I could come in as the artist, but be talking with the scientists as well, the astronomers. That's I love bringing art and science together.
oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely, that's where it's at. Um, so I mentioned we were at the Eurotas conference in Oxford, and a friend and a colleague of mine, he's a psychologist, an Irish psychologist. He was there, but he's also an organist, and his
Mhm.
presentation was playing Bach's a number of Bach pieces and Vidor and one of his own in the organ in New Chapel in Oxford, and he was looking at the organ. He took, gave a little piece on the history of the organ, but looking at it as a transpersonal instrument. And I mean, technologically, it's incredibly complex. And once
Yeah,
it's all set up, and then the music, he had people in tears, and he said, "That's what I wanted. Is that that people would be moved." And it's that because there's no words, you're right there within the music, within the notes, within the magic of it. And it sings to your soul and your heart. And it's just incredible. And bringing those things together is just, it's so, so beautiful.
It really is. And I see you doing that as well, in your work as a psychologist, and also in all the different facets of your Druidry. What does it mean for you as well to bring them together?
Well, it's about speaking to the soul. Psychology means, I suppose, logos, the meaning of the soul or the spirit. I'm not getting into what's the difference between soul and spirit. I won't go there. But there are some psychologists who say there's not enough ology in psychology. It's getting too woo-woo. And then others go, no, bring the psyche back into psychology. And it's about speaking to my soul and my spirit. And I suppose healing does that. Music does that. Storytelling does that. And it's about finding that meeting point where these strands meet, because we are not dualistic beings. We're integrated, mind, body, and spirit, and whatever else you want to add into the mix. And it's about finding that meeting point. And how I do it is through playing the harp, which I only do for myself. Occasionally I do it publicly, and storytelling, and then my work as a psychologist. And I've done it as a teacher, third level, all of that stuff. And that is around finding that point in each of us. And we do that in ceremonies. Where do our souls sing, or what is it that makes our soul sing? And by singing, I mean vibrating, growing, magnifying, elaborating, amplifying is the word I was looking for. What is it that allows those? And studying Druidry certainly does that for me, or has done and continues to do it in my practice, and all of the others. And I've been really, really lucky to be able to integrate all of these in my own life. I never thought that would happen. I didn't even think it was possible, so I didn't even think about it. It was just, I'm just intrigued by your evolution from chemical engineer to singer to then director and writer and now coaching. I don't know if you set out a long, long time ago, this is what you're going to be doing, or as you engage in these paths, then you begin to see patterns and points of synthesis. And that is how I do that, because I didn't have a long-term plan. I never thought I was going to be a druid. As a child, I wanted to be a doctor and I wanted to go to Africa. I did go to Africa. I didn't go be a doctor, but I did psychology. I'm a herbalist, shamanic therapist, Reiki. So I did all this mind, body, spirit stuff. I never thought I was going to be a druid. When I heard the stories in school about druids, I didn't think I was going to be one of those. So it's lovely that, and this is the art, I think, around walking your path and that creative, allowing things to happen and evolve as you walk the path. I suppose I think I'm rambling. I don't know if I'm making sense, but to be able to do that.
You are making sense. Yeah.
So Philosophical Phoenix says, ooh, that is a dream for me, uniting art and science. This is lovely. Jenna is a true Renaissance woman. That's lovely. So
thank you.
So Sean says
I love what you're just saying about being. Go ahead.
Say that again.
I was just saying, I love what you were just saying about being. I loved what you were just saying about being open to the surprises or perhaps the unexpected in the path.
I think
like
so.
You, I also never thought that I would end up.
And that's part of the magic of Druidry. And you see, Druidry, and in Irish, magic and Druidry is the same word. It's Driocht. And it's about opening yourself to that. It happens. And Fireide makes a comment. I think there's always a wonder if we choose Druidry or Druidry chooses us. I think that's a very good question. And Moira, ni Dúchláine, she's in Meath. Druidry's blown me away. Agree. It's so natural and unique to each person. A free flow of life of each person. Amazing. And then Philosophical, talking about you. That is a breathtaking evolution for one lifetime. Fascinating. So I think it's engaging and opening yourself to the magic of it. And I think sometimes we think that magic is about it's about manipulation, when I think from a Druidic perspective, it's about being open to experiences and allowing it to manifest within you, however that is. And Honora says, that's been my life too. Druidry has helped me bring my creative and spiritual sides back in balance with my life as a scientist. Very good. And David says, makes perfect sense. We can see ourselves as soul expressing itself in, as, and through each one of us. The art can also be in learning to yield to spirit's guidance and gifts. Absolutely, David. Yeah. So, how did you find Obod? How did you find Druidry? What was it that did it choose you, or did you choose it? What was the story?
I think it found me. There was synchronicity, of course. I think the journey to this moment started probably in 2019, when I experienced a really moving welcome to country from an Aboriginal family here, Combermary family, and we were on the beach, and I sat and experienced their welcome. And there was a multi-generational family, 3 generations of the family included in the welcome to us. We were a group of artists, and there was something deeply moving to me. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I was in tears. And if I look back at that moment now, I can see that that's where I was really starting to see what it means to have all the different facets of belonging coming together. Belonging to a family, belonging to land, being connected to their ancestral lands, and being in a way that was unaffected or decolonized, if you want to use that word. And that set me on a train of curiosity and learning and unlearning that I'm still on. And so I went on I guess you might call it a journey of learning about systems of oppression and the history of this land, and beginning to try to undo some of the harmful learnings or harmful things from my own mind and from my own body, over the years since, and I continue. And then I got to a certain point, and I think, Eimear, I've heard you say something similar to this about your time when you were in Africa, that I realized I knew more about different Aboriginal cultures in Australia than I knew about Scottish culture. And at some point, I realized that I had work to do, a lot of work to do, in terms of that connecting to my own culture. I wanted to be able to connect to place in a way that wasn't harmful, that wasn't appropriating Aboriginal ways, that was actually of my own line. And that's what took me to researching in Scottish history and Druidry specifically. My imagination was really open to that, and curiosity was really open to Druidry when I read a book by my friend and beautiful Australian author, Callista Thompson. She calls herself C.B. Thompson, and she's writing a series of books, historical fiction books, about the time of the Picts and in Scotland, and there are Druid characters in the books, and I was, every time there was a scene with the Druids in the book, I was so curious. And after that, I was on druidry.org and a member, and in Ireland with you. But the other thing about it is, it wasn't like it was something of course, it's new and I'm coming to it all with a beginner's mind. But at the same time, it was like all of the things that were already present in my life were also present in Druidry. And Druidry has kind of been a container that brings all the threads of me actually together. Even this regenerative leadership piece, it, it, I came to that before I came to Druidry, but the language is almost identical. And I can see that this whole this whole world of regenerative leadership is built upon wisdom traditions such as Druidry, and it's just a way of making things more accessible for those who are not so open to the spiritual path.
Can you just elaborate on what regenerative leadership is?
Well, I think most people are familiar with the leadership part. The regenerative part, regenerative on its own, is, I think many Druids will have heard of the regenerative movement, particularly in agriculture. Really, where we're trying to bring things back into the alignment of the laws of nature. And there are different ways that we can express that. Living systems science is one that seems to cut through a lot of different contexts. So in summary, regenerative leadership is about bringing our leadership back into alignment with the laws of nature, such that as leaders and as space holders, we are creating life-affirming spaces where we're healing and also creating spaces for people to thrive, all people to thrive.
So who are your clients?
Does
Who are
that
the
make
people
sense?
you? Yes, it does. So who are your clients?
People around the world, thanks to the internet, which didn't serve us so well in the beginning, but it seems to be working now. They are, in general, I think, fitting into 3 categories. They are people who are working in leadership development, but on the leading edge, where at the moment leadership development is starting to touch spirituality. I've got leadership development professionals, so that they are themselves coaches for other leaders. I've got artists who are on the leading edge of creative practice. And when I say leading edge, I'm also meaning where creativity is starting to integrate with spirituality. And the third type are kind of change makers who are working within organizations, who are really kind of themselves within the organization trying to make change from within. Or people who are just on a life transition point and seeking support to kind of midwife them through the transformation. That's probably the kinds of people I'm working with. But demographically, my clients have been 21 to mid-60s, with disabilities, able-bodied, Aboriginal people, white people, people of color, kind of right across the spectrum. It's a real diverse group of people that I've found myself working with. It's more the kind of what they're doing in the world, I think, perhaps, that unites them.
Wow, it's impressive, and all the different strands, like you were talking about, creativity and leadership. There's so many. You seem to have a very broad brush, or what would you say? Is it somehow what you do calls to many people from different levels or different strands of leadership? I think it's fascinating. Wow.
Thank you. Sometimes I myself don't know what I do, because I, in a way, like my performance work, it's consciousness work. To be honest, I feel if I could just describe myself in 2 words, a consciousness midwife or something like that. It's all work in the inner plane, with people, such that their outer can be whatever it needs to be. But in many ways, and Eimear, I think maybe you can relate to this in your work as a space holder. Sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of doing my best to be open and be empty, such that I can actually just allow my intuition to be or do whatever is required for that human in that particular moment. And that very much feels like it's beyond what I'm doing. I'm being supported in those moments in my work. So from that perspective, it feels like it's not me. It's very much a co-creation with life force energy or spirit, to which I have complete humility and don't know.
I think it's such a healthy place to work from a non-expert position, even though people will project expertise onto you. But when you don't know, that's what I think when most of the work happens, because you're allowing it to happen. You're allowing the client themselves to find their own threads. And that is so empowering. Tracy says, regenerative leadership, by your description, is so needed in the States. We can only hope come November. You know what, Tracy? It's needed everywhere. But it's that getting out of your way, getting out of the client's way, and allowing that space and trusting, because it does require to trust in a process. And just leave the space open so things can come in. That takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of trust in yourself, and trust that what will happen will happen. It's I think it's really, really beautiful. And the more of that we need, because I think of, when the way I was taught when I was younger, it was that, what is it, the jug and the mug. I have an empty head, and all this stuff is poured into my head, and I must give the appropriate responses or regurgitate what I've been taught. And I found I've taught at third level for 27 years, and I never lectured. I says, I can't lecture, I can only workshop. So it's have a framework, and I would teach the same class in the morning and the evening with two different groups, and it's two different classes because of what the group brought into it. And it's that magic about trusting a process and going with people's questions. And I think that, and what you're doing, I think is really, really appropriate. So important and beautiful.
I so know what you mean about the bespokeness of the work. Sometimes there's kind of like a commercial or a business pressure to put like a method or a methodology or a language or a structure around what I do, and to an extent I can do that, but to a large extent it's so bespoke.
Yes.
And no two clients are the same. And I don't know, as we were talking about earlier, I don't know where things are going to go. So there's always a part of me that finds that very difficult to try to put methods or processes on this very esoteric and bespoke experience of working with humans.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end of our time. Would you like to sing a song before we move over to the hearth? Because you can sing again on the hearth when we go over.
Would I like to sing a song? I would. I've just got another question for you. Have we got time?
Can we wait that till we go over into the hearth? Because I'd like those who are not members to hear your singing. And then you can ask that question when we get over.
Okay, thank you so much. I think this is the first time in my life that I've sung at 5:44 in the morning.
I don't know if you've had time to warm up
My
your
voice is a bit croaky. My voice is a bit croaky, but I will for you. I would like to sing a song. It's called "I Am Here." It's one of my favorite songs to sing. And the lyrics were cool. I always co-write or co-develop things with people, because for me it's just so much more fun. So it's all co-written with people I love. The lyrics are co-written with a dear friend and mentor who's also not so far from you, Eimear. She's in Wicklow. Her name's Emily Lane. Emily was my mentor for 2 years. And we co-wrote the lyrics together.
Beautiful.
And the music, well, indeed, the melody was written by myself. And it's a song actually from one of my planetarium shows. And it's the lens of the lyrics is meant to be like a message delivered from the universe to the hearts of the people who are listening. So it's not from Jenna, it's from the universe through Jenna. And that's the context of the lyrics. And it's fitting because it's also about endings and beginnings. So because we're ending our chat today, it's a good time. So I will sing for you now. It has been so beautiful to connect with you today. But this is not an ending. Not an ending. Not an ending. When you leave, let's continue our conversation. Let's continue our conversation. Look for me when you look up to the stars. In the stars, look for me. Feel for me when you walk through earth's wonders. When you're walking, feel for me. Feel for me. Sense me when you're lying down to rest. Oh, sense me. I am here for all your endings and beginnings. For all your endings, I am here. I am here. I am here. I am here for the fullest expression of your life. For the fullest expression of your life. For your fullest life, I am here. I am here, expanding this endless universe, expanding this endless universe, expanding. Expanding to you, through you, as you, with you, and for for you.
Wow. The comments are just, people are blown away by both your voice, the words, heartwarming and lovely song, Jenna. This message from the universe received through you. Beautiful messenger. Just gorgeous voice, beautiful song, beautiful singing on the other side of the planet. Lovely. Exquisite, cosmic threads sounding, the vastness of your voice, breathtaking. Thank you so much. That has been just so, so beautiful. Absolutely. Just, well, this is why I asked you to sing, because I heard you singing in Donegal. My goodness. So, and Jenna wrote an article in about the Bureau retreat in this month's Touchstone. So we need to move over to the hearth. So I just let you say goodbye to our public, and then OBOD members can move over to the hearth and see you over in a few minutes. So I'll let you say goodbye.
Thank you all so much for being here with us. It's been really a privilege to share with you. And thank you so much, Eimear, for inviting me.
Anyway, we'll see you in a few minutes. So thank you all very much. And I look forward to seeing you next week for another Fireside Chat. In the meantime, have a good week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, Slán go fóill.